Hello and welcome to episode number 97. Oh, so close, 97 of the Daily Sales Message, where each and every single day for at least the last 97 days in a row now, we've provided you with a piece of simple and actionable advice that's designed to help you feel more confident and sell more stuff. If you're new around here, my name is James Newell and I teach people how to sell for a living. And I also drift into a game show voice, a radio show voice. I'm sorry about that. But when I teach people how to sell for a living, I do two things. We start with having a clear sales message. I help them to articulate their offering so people understand it. It might sound really flippant and simple, but if you've ever struggled to explain to somebody what your company actually does or what you actually offer, it can be really, really difficult. And secondly, I help people develop their selling confidence. I help them to feel relaxed and comfortable and in control in a selling situation, because for me, that's really vital to succeeding. And once you've got clarity of message, confidence of delivery, conversion naturally follows. In this episode, number 97 of the Daily Sales Message, we're talking about showing your buyers, demonstrating to your buyers that you understand them. There is this belief that I have, and it's not really a belief because I prove it on a daily basis. But when you talk to people, if you can explain and articulate to them the problem that they're facing as well as, or better than, they can, then you are in a really good position to succeed. Your buyers are looking for confidence, certainty, and expertise when they're buying from somebody, but they're also looking for somebody who understands them and who gets them. And this is where doing your homework, I know, boring homework, is really important. Two things to think about in particular, and then something that you can do with that. So the two things to think about, the first one is the trigger point. So the trigger point is what causes somebody to act. A leaky tap is a trigger point to call a plumber. There's motivation and urgency there. The question is, what's the trigger point, or what are the trigger points for your buyers? And understand them so you can articulate them. That's the trigger point. And the second thing is the actual problems that you solve. For example, in my Clear Sales Message consultancy, there are three main problems that I solve. I help to simplify complex offerings. I help people to differentiate in a crowded marketplace. And I help people to justify the price if their thing is high value or it's a service, it's an intangible thing. But your ability to articulate the problems that you solve, and just from me listening to those three things, if you're sat there thinking, yeah, I am struggling to differentiate. Oh, yeah, it's quite hard to explain what our technology does. Then you're more connected and engaged with me. Oh, James specializes in this. But your ability to articulate the problems that you solve and the triggers that your buyer might be experiencing, and to bring that up in conversation, and then to be not playful, but to put yourself out there, be a bit more bold than you would usually be. And you can say things like, okay, so if this has happened for you, then I'm guessing this might also be a problem for you. And if you can start to connect the dots, and I was going to say take some guesses, but really they shouldn't be guesses, because we should understand these people. They should be very, very likely events. But okay, so if you're struggling to articulate your offering, you're probably feeling not very confident when you're talking to people and a bit flustered in a presentation, right? So if we can connect those dots, tell them how they're feeling. Obviously, we're not going to tell people you are feeling this way, but if we can tell them what they might be experiencing through the lens of we understand them, we're experienced and we get it, that is a really, really powerful thing to be able to do. And when people feel understood, everything changes. And as a buyer, if you can articulate to me the problem I'm facing as well, as good as, or better than I can myself, it implies also that you can solve that problem, which is crucial. So today I want you to think about those two things. What are the problems that you actually solve for people? Can you list them out? We just want a nice, short, concise list, and it should be so short that you can just recall it without notes, just recall it from your mind. So what are the problems that you solve, and what are the triggers that your buyers face? And again, nice short list. You can articulate it from your brain without writing it down at all. If you have those two things there, and then when you're in a call with somebody or on a Zoom with somebody, have the courage to ask them and connect the dots. Can I ask you, if you're struggling with this, is this also a problem for you? Or are you feeling like this and thinking this and doing this? And put yourself out there a little bit, because the first time somebody says, oh my goodness, yes, this is exactly what's happening. How did you know that? well, the conversation has just taken a massive turn for the better, and all for the want of doing a little bit of homework and being a little bit bolder than perhaps you would usually be. Okay, that's it for this episode, number 97 of the Daily Sales Message. Tomorrow, join me, why don't you, for one of my mantras. And I'm not going to tell you what it is because you won't turn up and listen, so I'll have to tell you what it is on the podcast. That's how these teaser things work. But it's my approach to following up people, and it's 5 words long, very simple. But I've had people listen to my talks, even just see my posts or my comments on LinkedIn. They've embodied these 5 particular words, and in their own words, it's changed the game for them in terms of how they approach following up, how they approach outreach. So I don't want to hype up these 5 words too much, but they really make a difference. You should probably tune into episode number 97. And if nothing else, I've made 97 of these, or I will have done. So if you could tune into at least more than one, I'd really appreciate it. Otherwise, it's just me sat in my office talking to myself. Anyway, right, I'll see you tomorrow for episode number 98 of the Daily Sales Message. Thank you for listening. I really appreciate it. Take care.